did this movie do justice to its many heroes? They had a lot of story threads to balance. Joshua, what do you think? Did they do justice to them?
I think so, yes. Because it's funny how we used to think of the Avengers as a crossover between all the solo movies, and it was, but really we just think of the Avengers as a team now. But this is the first like true comic book crossover where like everyone from all corners of the Marvel universe, not just New York City, are coming together. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Black Panther, the Avengers, the Guardians, other characters on top of that, all coming together to fight something. And I love how organically they all kind of came together of just Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and Hulk, where it's all in New York City, and they have to fight the two members of the Black Order, and they're in the park, and then Spider-Man just comes, and he's like sticking to the back of the guy. And it's such like a fun, cool way for them all to come together. And I did think it was really cool. I was a little weird on how Cap's squad knew that Vision and Scarlet Witch were under duress. I think it was something that she didn't check in because she was on her way to a check-in.
She was with them, and she was supposed to have checked in, and so they came and looked
for
her.
So that was a little flimsy as far as heroes meeting up, but it ended up being kind of a cool moment with the Cap reveal and everything. But yeah, this movie is like, wow, they actually have created that magic of the comic books, of that shared universe, and really put it to use in spectacular fashion.
I will say, Thor plus the Guardians, especially Thor plus Rocket, but like the best. Just the best.
Yes.
I love the Guardians. Yeah, the rabbit thing. You're a dude, or you're a dude. This is a man. And then even the whole thing.
Godspeed, morons.
No, when Thor starts hitting on Gamora, and you realize what's happening, and I loved that. Those are the little moments, like the really human moments in this that I loved, and I thought it was really fun having the Guardians intersect. I also we expected it, right? But Tony plus Stephen Strange, such a good pairing. Like the egos on those men was really fun. I also loved seeing Peter and Tony together more. Like I will never get sick of that dynamic. It's funny because Scott Kalora mentioned in his review that he started thinking about all the people that never did meet. Like you never get that Cap and Iron Man reunion after Civil War. Presumably, that will be when the remaining few come together in Avengers 4. And I guess I lost a little bit of that joy in the fight at the end because they were just so overridden by these CGI beasts that it was less about them fighting together and more about them keeping off Thanos. Those were actually the parts that I felt were a little comic booky in a negative way.
Huh. How dare you? How very dare you?
Specifically that Wakanda fight at the end, against the Black Order, I really didn't think that they worked for me. And the whole trope of massive hordes of just beasts for them to kill, I was like,
too many splash pages, not enough. I
mean, that's a fantasy
That's not
trope.
Unique to comics. That's just an overwhelming CGI horde, which we've seen in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was like, I wish it was a little bit more of the magic you had in Civil War, where it's two teams just of all these characters. I don't think they can replicate that.
You lose an emotional investment when it does become just human versus CGI stand-in kind of thing. There's a certain disconnect that happens at the most emotional stage in the movie, which is to keep you grounded.
But I will say, when Black Widow takes on, so this is the thing, I don't really know the Black Order from the comics, and I came out of this movie having no idea any of those names, so forgive me for that. But when she takes on the female one, played by Proxima Midnight, and the whole question is how would you throw Black Widow or someone like that up against a Black Order person, whatever, or Thanos, and then you see her go, I was like, yeah, get it, girl. I was like, that's so badass, and that is what makes Black Widow and Hawkeye, whenever we see him next, really cool characters, and I am really just so thrilled that they landed that we didn't walk out of this movie being like, what's Black Widow doing here?
Seeing her and Okoye team up was that to me was one of the most unexpected kind of surprises and rewarding little moments in the movie was those unexpected team ups. I will say the Thor and Guardian stuff, I love the early parts of it, how charming it was. That doesn't last long though, because they do quickly split up. So I would say the Thor and Rocket and Groot stuff went on too long, and we'll get to a character that they encounter a little bit later in this discussion, but I just thought that storyline, it did feel a bit like padding. Like, we have Chris Hemsworth, what are we going to do with him? And then the Guardian stuff was a bit more plot-driven because they're the ones directly going after Thanos.
I mean, they're ultimately juggling, what, like 4 storylines, maybe 5 at a given point, where you have Thanos and Gamora, you have Thor and Rocket trying to, forge his new hammer, you have the Guardians, Tony, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man on Titan, you have everyone at Wakanda, and then you have Shuri trying to get the stone out of Vision that's a lot. And I could feel this, every time they went back to Thor, I was like...
Yeah, the Shuri Vision thing, though, to me was the same as Martin Freeman's character in Black Panther trying to, get his little VR chopper, aircraft thing going as there's another fight going. To me, it was the exact same sort of, cutting back and forth between two things.
Yeah, actually, we missed this when we were talking about deaths, but Vision could actually be alive if she did indeed finish the download enough.
I thought that was going to be the twist, that she actually did do it in time, but
we'll find out in the next movie. Maybe she got most of him.
Only part of him. I mean, there's still as they set up, is the best parts of him.
To a different point I wanted to make real quick was that while we're talking about heroes, I actually thought that this is where the movie faltered a little bit for me, and that's where it did a really good villain story for Thanos and had some good threads for the heroes. I really did enjoy the Doctor Strange, Tony Stark, Spider-Man stuff, and throwing in the Guardians, and especially the early stuff with Thor and the Guardians. But I feel like the Captain America, Black Widow squad, Sam was there as well, they got so completely underserved.
Yeah.
And I felt that I'm kind of showing up to see what's Captain America up to, and Black Widow sees Hulk again for the first time. None of those moments were given any real development.
They were literally there to move the plot along, the plot being Vision.
This movie was very much like plot. And I know a lot of people are going to hear what I just said and then go to the comments and say, but we had 10 years of development. Isn't that enough? Can't we just carry that with us into this movie? And yes, you can, but I think like you were saying earlier, Terry, that I do want to see in this movie just kind of remind me and have him just sit and talk and say oh my gosh, what does this size threat mean to us? This isn't threatening a city. This isn't threatening the world. This is threatening the universe. And this Thanos is coming. He's almost on our doorstep. I want to hear them talk about that just for one scene.
Really? I mean, they did kind of in the New York and the Sanctum Sanctorum. So
but with Cap and everyone, you get that moment where they see Rhodey again, and it's such a wonderful moment where you're like, yay, you guys are together. I was just really filled with joy at that scene. You guys are reunited. I know Tony isn't here, but I don't know. I felt like that is something that the Russos, again, this is a gargantuan task. This is, monumental. Nothing has been done like this in cinema before, but I think the Russos did a really great job of balancing that in in Civil War, but in this one, it was a bit unbalanced for me.
Yeah.
Well, we want to hear what you thought about how they handled the heroes in this movie, their respective storylines. Did they do them justice? Did you like the comic book crossover of it all? Let us know in the comments. Check out IGN's review of the film, as well as our breakdown of all of the Easter eggs that we could find. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe on whatever platform you like to watch IGN.